So I believe so last week we had a we covered the fundamentals, isn't it, around LWC. So we'll do a quick recap. Okay, 5 minutes. We'll do a quick recap, and then we'll continue from where we left off. Yeah. So we'll do that. Yes. So this is where we started yesterday, right? So before even we start with Lightning Web development, Lightning Web component development, certainly as a developer, you and I should have knowledge on HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Why? Because this Lightning Web component, right? It's nothing but a JavaScript framework. So the entire UI, that you build, you will purely write JavaScript code. Okay, so you will create something called the web components, okay, which is again nothing but a custom element. So in HTML we have a lot of elements, right? The anchor tag, the paragraph tag, image tag, etc. All these are standard elements, correct? But in but here, right, in the web components as a concept, as a concept, it helps you to create your own custom component or custom tag, HTML tag. That's end of the day, that's what we are doing. Okay. So remember the analogy that we used to understand Lightning Web component, right? See, it's actually built on JavaScript. It's more like you are walking into ice cream parlor, getting a scoop of butterscotch ice cream, and then on top of it, you're adding, a lot of flavors, choco chips, honey, nuts, everything, right? To give a different flavor, isn't it? Just like that, Salesforce as an organization, they picked up this JavaScript, plain JavaScript. Then on top of it, they made a lot of changes. Okay, and then they came up with this JavaScript framework. Okay, so why should they do this, right? It's because um, they wanted to adhere to the modern web technologies or modern web standards. Yeah. So HTML, JavaScript, CSS are the three pillars that a browser can stand. When I write a code in HTML, there is no need for anybody to translate that code in a form that browser can understand. When I write JavaScript code, every browser that we have in the market today, right, has its own JavaScript engine, so it can understand that piece of code and then execute. Yeah. So that's why we wanted to build everything with uh, with the language that the browser can natively understand, isn't it? Yeah. And this will certainly give you a lot of benefits over the performance. Okay. Yeah. So we talked about that, and then we also talked about a brief history about the JavaScript, etc. Correct. And then one thing we all should remember is the ES6 standards or ECMA 2015. So there is a team, there is a committee called ECMA, Electronic Computers Manufacturing Association. This tech community, is the one that defines the standards for JavaScript. Correct. And 2015 was a great milestone. The year was a big milestone for JavaScript, because a lot of standards, a lot of lot of changes around the way how we use JavaScript, right, were introduced only in 2015. After which every year we are seeing new syntax, new functionalities introduced in JavaScript. Okay, yeah. So we have to go one level deep into JavaScript. So to become well versed in writing a Lightning Web Component code, we have to go a bit deep. Okay, so fundamentals fine, but essentially you should have knowledge around all these JavaScript or ECMA standards or ES6 standards. Okay, we did talk about this import export last week. We did talk about decorators. Um, we did talk about what else? Let constant, correct? So today we will continue our journey. Okay, let's start building Lightning Web Component, and then whenever we wanted to understand this fundamentals, right, I will switch back to JavaScript and then learn. Then start building the component. Okay, yeah. So fine. I think there was a question as well yesterday, right? So Rajesh explained as DOM, etc. Correct? It's very simple. A DOM is nothing but HTML, that HTML code that you see in the browser. Okay. So be it any application for that matter. Okay. So Amazon.com, Flipkart, or even this particular page, right? When you go and then go to the developer tools through inspect, you see this entire
Hello,
HTML code,
Rajesh.
right? Oh
Sorry to
yeah, yeah.
interrupt.
Go on, go on,
Are you
please.
sharing your screen?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I was just sharing my screen. All this time I was just, talking without sharing my screen. Thanks for letting me know. Anyways, so yeah, I was just talking about, this DOM. Okay, before that, I was just talking about all these things. Okay, the many lives, the standards, etc. Yeah. Good. So let's have a quick discussion about this DOM. Okay, DOM is nothing but the plain HTML content that you see when your application is rendered in the browser, right? You can develop your application in any language for that matter. You can use JSP, you can use Node, you can use Angular, React, or Lightning Web Component, from Salesforce, whatever it is. Okay, this HTML code, right? This is what you call document object model. Okay, DOM in short. So basically, what it happens is that behind the scenes, this is how the HTML parser, right, will construct that page. Okay, so for example, let's take a very simple example. Okay, I have this HTML tag, head tag, body tag, etc. Right. So there is this window, this entire browser, right? The tab basically, it's called window. Okay, and then you'll have document inside which you'll have this top element HTML, and then you have head, right? Head and body are two other elements, and inside head you'll have title. So you can just find this right here. And inside body you have an anchor tag and then h1 tag. You can just see each one is represented in the form of a tree, correct? So this is what you call DOM tree. Okay, so and why are we talking about this? Because the component that we create, the web component that we are creating, right? It's going to get injected into this existing DOM. Okay, yeah. So that is the reason it got this name as called shadow DOM. Okay, so basically, for the browser to show something on the screen, okay, it will construct this DOM tree based on your HTML. It will construct this DOM tree. Okay, so now when I create a web component, I'm kind of injecting that into an existing DOM. Okay, and then saying that include this as well. When you show the output on the browser. Okay, so that's the concept of shadow DOM. We will create a Lightning Web component, and then I'll show you where to see this shadow DOM. Okay, so uh, so keep this in mind for now. Okay, other than that, we talked about the different tools that are needed, right? Salesforce CLI, Node. I gave all the links, I believe. Okay, it's also there in the mind map. Yeah. So I believe I did share the link for folks to view. If you have not bookmarked this, please do this again. So later you can. Oh yes, my health is good. Thank you so much, GJ. Yes. So you can also get this bookmarked so that you can easily refer the concepts that we did learn. Okay. All right. So the tools are needed, correct? And why do we need these tools? If you could recollect, because Lightning Web Component development cannot happen right within the org. So today, if I want to create an Apex class, I can go to my org very well. Yeah, I can go to my org, I can go to setup, developer console, and then start doing it, correct? Yeah. So that's what typically org-based development happened, right? To let it load, I go here. uh I'll click on developer console, and then I can just start creating, class files, start creating Aura component. I can do all such things right here in the trigger, etc. Correct? But this is not possible. Okay, when it comes to Lightning Web Component. Okay, so Lightning Web Component needs to be developed outside of Salesforce, and then deploy this back into the org to test it, right? And that's when there was a question from one of our participants on the call. Rajesh, why should I always deploy my component right into the org for testing? Correct? Is there a way I can run this locally and then test it? Right? There is a way. Okay, that is a way. Fortunately, that plugin is not working in my laptop. Owing to some version conflicts. Okay, so there is something called Salesforce LWC local server. Okay, it's a plugin. Okay, this is the one. All you have to do is you just have to copy this code, go to your terminal. Okay, get this installed. It will anyways fail in my case. Okay, yeah, I'll try this. Okay, so um, so this is the one. So once you do that, what happens is, right, you don't need to, let it run. It will take some time. Yeah. So this will help you to build a Lightning Web Component outside of Salesforce using VS Code. So last week we created an SFDX project. Remember, we also talked about the importance of SFDX project, right? Yeah, simply put, SFDX project is nothing but, an organized a way to organize your code. Yeah, systematically you're organizing your code, right? So that's this, SFDX project. You will have folders, subfolders. When you create a project, it will be completely clean, right? No code in it or no file in it, right? Then we added our files, correct? And then now all the files are properly stored in the respective folders. It helps me to manage my code and helps me also with the deployment. Okay. Yeah. So this is where I need to develop my code, and then I can right click and then deploy. We did that last week as well, right? We created a couple of components, hello world and opportunity close counter, right? So uh, this has to happen, for me to deploy the code to the org, so that in the org I can bring that component and then see whether this is working fine or not, right? But if you use this local development, what happens is after this is installed, okay, it's filling. After this is installed, what I will get is, right, when I right click, I'll get an option right here under this one, right? I get an option to run the component locally. Okay. So I get another option. When I click, it just opens up a browser and then the component gets loaded, where I can just see whether the component is working as intended. If it works, then I can do the deployment, to the org. Okay. That's another way to do it. Let's see if I'm lucky today, I'll get this installed. No, it did fail. Yeah, something is wrong with the versioning, with the software version that I have. Something with Node or Java. I'm not sure. I've not spent much time to debug and then find the problem. Okay. Anyways, but give a try in your own local machine, your machine. Okay. If this is installed, okay, then you don't have to deploy every time your code to see the output. Okay. So what I'll do is I will give you the link as well in the chat window. Okay. And what I will also do is, let's go to our all right. So it's interesting. Where is it? So LWC local development. Yeah. So use SF plugin to check LWC code local machine locally. Okay. So before deployment. Yeah. So what I'll do is I will add this as a. Okay, so now, if you go here, there is a link. When you click, you'll just see where exactly you need to go and then see the command. Okay, so this is about the local server. Okay, so other than that, things that you should remember, right, is about the conventions, right, the naming convention. So you have to follow the kebab case when it comes to Lightning Web Component. When you create a component, it has you have to follow the kebab case, sorry, camel case, where your first letter will always start with lowercase. Okay, so that is important, and for every new word you can just start with an uppercase. Okay. Yeah. We talked about the config file importance as well, isn't it? Yeah. So how does this config help? It will help you to, to uh, take control as a developer and then say that, okay, I'm developing this Lightning Web Component to use it only in the home page, not in the record page or not in any other pages. Okay. So this is where the target comes into the play. Correct. So we built this hello world and couple of, uh, LWC components. And then, first thing is we have to expose that component first thing, right? Number two, set the targets where exactly you want this LWC component to be used. Is it on home page? Is it on record page? Or is it only on the community website? Or is it only in the inside the flow? Okay, you can do all such things. You can also um, launch this lightning web component as a tab. That is also possible. So you can just set the target. Okay, so remember that. So accordingly you can just expose your lightning web component. Yeah, so cool. And debug mode. Okay, so this is what we discussed, right? It is a good idea to enable debug mode, right? Because when you build lightning web component, the plain HTML, JavaScript and CSS, all the three files are going to get cached in the browser. Okay, so whenever you make a new change, okay, the browser will still pick up the old file and then show you the output. Okay, to avoid that, okay, enable debug mode, right? So that you can clear the cache. You can just tell the browser, boss, don't uh, cache the files. Okay, reload the files or load the files fresh every time. Okay, it may work sometimes, it may not work. Okay, so if it doesn't work, what do we typically do? So remember that, do I have this? Interesting. Where is it? Okay, I did open the app. It's gone now. Okay, let's log in again. Okay, I'll just quickly show you how you will just clear the cache and etc. to reload your page. Okay, so I'll log in first. LWC playground. Is there any? Yeah. So this is an app page, right? Yeah. So when you find that your component is not reflecting the latest changes, don't worry. Right click, go to the developer tools, or using this inspect, just launch the developer tools. Then right click this refresh icon. You will find multiple options. Use the third one. It will clear the cache and then brings all the latest files to render on the page. Okay, so anything else? All right, so we started talking about the different concepts, right, in sales in our LWC. The first thing is data binding, correct? Yeah. So to okay, other than that, we did spend a lot of time to talking about the fundamentals. Yeah, JavaScript fundamentals, JavaScript ES6 standards, correct? Yeah, so go through this. Okay, go through this as well, just to uh, ensure that your fundamentals are really strong. Okay, yeah, because I was just saying, right, these days it is Aman says my screen is frozen. Is it for all? I'm right now
No, it's visible now.
visible, right? Okay, good. Okay. Yeah. So right, these days, doing development, right? It's quite simple. Okay. We will also use some AI tools to write our code. Okay. So you need to know how to tweak your code. Okay, whether this is working as per your business requirement or not is where you need to spend your effort and time on. Okay. So get the fundamentals, get the fundamentals really strong, so that you can really able to write. You can just start with a tool, get the code, and then make some tweaks and quickly close your work. Okay, good. So talking about data binding, yeah. So this is nothing but it helps you to communicate JavaScript and JavaScript and HTML. So if I go back here to my code, so this is my JavaScript, isn't it? This is my HTML. Yeah. So whenever where, okay, where did the properties go? Interesting. Okay, I think I got this one here. Yeah, not the hello world. Let's bring opportunity counter, close counter. Yes, the first thing, right? Yeah. So you have a class. This is nothing but a JavaScript class which has properties and methods, correct? So I have a property called opportunity name, OPP name, right? So I want to use this value, Salesforce implementation, back in the HTML. How do we do that? We use data binding concept, which is fairly simple. All we have to do is we just have to use curly brace. and then use the same name or the method name. That's all it is. Yeah. So we used the same name right here, correct? And then what did we do? We had this button added, correct? We had this lightning button added, isn't it? Yeah. So talking about this lightning button, right? So this is a stand. This is this is one of the default web components that Salesforce has created and then kept it for us to use. Okay, so instead of us creating a button, right, plain HTML button, and then apply styles, etc., Salesforce says that I have already created a button for you. Why can't you use it? Yeah, in that way, all the styling and everything, right? Salesforce has taken care for you. Okay, yeah. So we need to know how to use this alone. Yeah. For that purpose, again, what Salesforce has done is, right, they created this gallery. Correct. They created a nice gallery, isn't it? So let it load first. Yes, you will just see loads and loads of such components right here. Button is one. You have this something called card, something called data table. When you want to show some data in the form of rows and columns, when you want to load an image, image carousels, etc., right? You can pick one of the components. Okay, just like how you have standard permission sets, standard profiles, and some templated flows. All such things are there in Salesforce, right? Yeah. So why do you have all these things? Because you can use that as a reference, okay, and then on top of it you can make some more enhancements, right? So just like that, Salesforce built a lot of components for you, okay, and um, in every release, okay, summer release, winter and spring, right, you will just see more components added. Okay, when so this, you see, you are seeing a lot of components right here. Okay, this was not the case earlier, 2 or 3 years ago. Okay. Yeah, when LWC was introduced, right, we did not have a rich set of components right here. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, so we did use this lightning button, correct? And then on click of the button, I want to run some JavaScript. That's my expectation, right? What did we do? JavaScript being event-driven programming, right? So I'm just saying that whenever there is somebody clicking the button on click, okay, make a call to a JavaScript function. This is again where data binding concept come into the play. So inside this line number 14 to 16, we have just created a simple JavaScript code, correct? So all the Salesforce will do is, whenever somebody clicks on the button, it will call this method. It will just show this output. Yeah. So let's try this now. Yeah, this is the one, right? When I click, you can just see this updated, right? Earlier it was Salesforce implementation. Now I'm gonna click on this. It just updated the information, correct? Yeah. So far so good, isn't it? So now this is cool. We will enhance this further. Okay, we'll enhance this further. And before we do other we talk about other concepts, right? It is important as a Lightning Web Component developer, you should know how to debug the code, the Lightning Web Component code, because a lot of times, right, your code might give you a tough time, real tough, really really tough time, because of two reasons. Okay, number one is JavaScript is case sensitive. It is case sensitive. Okay, so for example, if I this is my property name, right? Let's say um, by mistake I just used an uppercase O. Okay, I'll save this. I'll deploy. Okay, I did successfully run. Okay, did not throw me any error, right? Okay, so I'll go here. I'll refresh this page. Okay, just to ensure that my latest code is available for the browser. What I'll do is I'll clear that. Okay, we'll do the same technique. Right click and then empty cache and reload it. When you do that, it will naturally, right? The browser will naturally bring the latest code. Okay, good. So I'll click on this button. Nothing is happening. No error, no output. Correct. Ideally speaking, we should see Salesforce implementation updated, but nothing is happening, isn't it? So cases like this. It's okay. So cases like this, right, really need some debugging. Okay, so let's start with the debugging technique so that when we build, other components, right, it will be easy for you to uh, debug your code. Okay, just to understand what is happening behind the scenes. Okay, so how do I debug my code? Yeah, so two options you have. Okay, so talking about debugging the code. Okay, number one, what you can do is, yeah. So number one, what you can do is, right, you can use console.log, okay, to debug. Just like how you use system.debug, right? When you write Lightning, sorry, when you write Apex methods to see whether the information is captured in the log file, we can use console.log. Okay. Otherwise, the best way is, otherwise, what you can do is, okay, or so you can just place breakpoints in
Hi
the code.
Rajesh, if you don't
And
mind, can you increase the font size?
can you increase the font size, Rajesh? Huh?
Yeah, thanks.
No problem, no problem. Place breakpoints in the code, okay, and step through the code. Really, we can step through the code because it's pure JavaScript, right? We'll just follow the JavaScript debugging techniques. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do this, placing breakpoints in the code and then step through the code. Okay, how do I do it? So let's go back to the code. This is the code that is not working fine, right? So right click, use inspect, just to launch the developer tools. Number one. Number two. Okay, so let's go to the sources. This is where you will just see I'll close this one, all the files that got downloaded, okay, when you access a particular URL. So looks like lot of files added, lot of files are downloaded, okay, through the browser. Okay, we are interested to just debug only this, isn't it? Okay, the name of the component is opportunity close date count, isn't it? Yeah. So what we will do is, let's use this three dots. While you are in sources, use three dots, open file, look for opportunity closed date counter. This is the one, right? Click here. Okay, so now you can see the code that we have written, isn't it? Yeah. Is it the old code or new code? Because in the new code, it is the old code, it is the new code. Perfect. Yeah. So this is the code that we have written. But remember, I was just telling the last week's session, right? Whenever you write your Lightning Web Component code, Salesforce will take the code and then it does lot of things behind the scenes. It just, under the hoods, it just adds, for example, there is no HTML tag. Everything's written inside the inside the template tag. It takes the code and then it just, adds the HTML tag wherever required. It also takes your JavaScript code and then, just 1 minute, guys. Just 1 minute, please. All right, guys, I'm back. Yeah, it's not frozen. I didn't, I just, stepped it for a while. Okay, so now just confirm if you are able to see my VS Code. Is it okay?
Yes, yes, Rajesh.
Yeah, okay. All right. Super. Uh, all right. So we were talking about this debugging stuff, right? There is a problem in the code, correct? So what we typically do is we launch the page, we use developer tools, and then we go right to the inspect, and then we go to sources, use three dots, find the file. Okay, then The first thing that you see is you see a lot of new code, added to you on top of your code. Okay, you can just see this, right? Yeah, this is the actual code that you have written, isn't it? But there are much more code, Salesforce injects into your code. Okay, this is quite normal. So to make your LWC component run successfully fine inside the org. Okay, so what we have to do is we just have to put a breakpoint. Okay, so this is where I want to stop the code execution. Just click on the line number, that's it. Okay, yeah, so I'll also click on line number 45 just to show you what happens. Okay, yeah, click on 53. So wherever you just wanted to write, wherever you wanted the code execution to stop, because in my case I want to find and I want to find what is going wrong, why the code is not working when I click on the button, right? And I know that on click of the button, this show opportunity name is the method that is getting called, correct? So I'm placing a breakpoint right here. Okay, so now with the breakpoints, right? Yeah, what you can do is you can just refresh the page. So now what happens is the browser will stop the execution. You can just see this, right? Paused in debugger, right? So the browser will will say that, okay, Rajesh wants to ensure that the code, should be stopped, correct, from being executed. So right now it is currently stopped at line number 45. You can just see this highlighted, right? So this is where the step through, you can just step through the code and then see what happens. So what I can do is I'll go to console, clear everything. Okay, so I want to move from line 46 to line 47, 145 to 146. Okay, how do I do that? So you have few, options on the top. So you have this F10, which helps you to step through each line. Okay, you have this F11 as well. Okay, I'll use F10 to step through. You can just now see from 45, the execution came down to 46. Okay, so line number 45, what is the code that we have written? We just wanted to print something in the console, constructor called, right? So we just executed this line. If you go to the console, you can just see this as an output. Okay, so this way you can just step through each and every line of code. So I'll continue and then see. Okay, 46 is fine. I'll click on F10. Now it goes to 53. Fine. The 53. If you take your cursor over to OPP name, you can just see undefined. Yeah, it says undefined, right? Yes, because there is no value assigned to the property OPP name. So what I'll do is I will move to the next line. Okay, so now this is what is happening in the code. Okay, so the value got assigned to the property. Okay, so this way you will know what is really happening when the component is loaded in the page. Okay, this comes really handy. Let's say you are making a call to an apex method that returns you, some data. Okay, and then you want to see what data is returned. Yeah, so you can just put a breakpoint and then step through the code, understand what data is coming through, right? And accordingly you can make changes in your code. Sometimes you build a form using lightning web component. User will enter some data and then you want to read the data and then send it to the database. Okay, so you can use this technique to place a breakpoint and then see, okay, what data has been entered by the user and before it goes into the database, right? You can also cross check, okay, whether the data is the right format, all such things. Okay, so anyways, so this is how you step through the code. I'll click on this F5 or this F8, this button, okay, just to run it completely. Okay, so now I clicked on that button. Now the entire code did execute. Okay, yeah, and then now I'm in this correct page, right? So I'm gonna click on this particular button. Okay, so when it happens, I should see the control should come to 42 and then stop from getting executed, right? So let's click on this. As expected, the control came to line number 42 and it is currently paused, right? So now I'll go to op name. It says undefined, correct? So I'll go to console as well. I'll remove everything. Okay, sometimes we get more information in the console.log. I'm going to use this F10 to move from line 42 to line 43. Okay, it says something is updated. Okay, I'll move forward. Okay, now it just came out of that particular file, right? So let's move forward. There is some error. Where did the error go? I think I skipped that part. So basically what happens is, right, it will go to that. I think I didn't place any breakpoint there. Anyways, that is that, it will show you that error. Okay, I didn't place any breakpoint. Okay, the moment it came out of this and then came to this file. Okay, so you will just see an error right here. Okay, saying that there is no property with this, with this name, with caps opp name. Okay, yeah. So this is how you can step through code. That is the important thing. Okay, so when something is not working, or when you want to see actually how the component is reading the data, or capturing the data, you can use this technique. Okay, keep this in mind for now. Let's take this component to the next level. Okay, then we can apply the same debugging technique and then inspect the code and then see how it works. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back to the actual variable. Okay, yeah. So cool. Right click and then deploy. Okay, so now when it comes to debugging, right? So this is how we do that debugging in Lightning Web Component, how we do debugging using browser or development tools. Okay, yeah, cool, isn't it? Super. So with that, we're gonna switch our gears and then talk about another concept. Okay, another concept in Lightning Web Component that also really comes handy when you build components. Okay, which is, okay, um, HTML directives. Okay, HTML directives. What is it? Yeah, what is this HTML directives? Fairly simple. So think about this if else condition, if else, else if, right? So think about this for loop. Think about this iterators, which is also a for loop. Okay, which is also a for loop, but iterator gives you the flexibility to start from either first to the last item or last to the first item. Basically a loop. You have bunch of data which you want to loop through. Okay, so now typically, right, we use this if else, for loop, or iterator when you write your let's say JavaScript code, or when you write your C sharp, Java, or Apex for that matter, right? So that's where you would typically see the if-else conditions, for loops and iterators, right? Instead, in Lightning Web Component framework, it is also possible for you to use this for loop and if-else, iterators, everything in HTML. So inside this HTML tags, we can able to we can able to um, we can able to use this. Okay, yeah. So let's learn that. Okay, and then come back and then make some tweaks right in this code. Okay, let's apply that and then make some tweaks. Okay, so let's very quickly learn that fundamental concept. So I'm going to create a new Lightning Web Component. Okay, so command palette, I'll try to create more components so that you will be comfortable, okay, in creating the component. I'll follow the camel casing. Okay, I'll just say learn HTML directives. Okay, of course it's going to create a new component as such, right? A bundle, right? So you have a bunch of files, HTML, JavaScript, and the configuration file. What is the first thing that we do the moment you have a LWC bundle? The first thing is you will decide whether to to get this component uh, ready to be available, right, to use or not. Yes, I'll set it to true. Then you will set the target, right? So in this case, I'll be very particular about the target. I don't want this component to be used in any places other than an application page. That's all it is. Okay, I don't want to see this component available for use in home page. I don't want to see this component available for to use in record page or any other places. Okay, I'll be very choosy in terms of setting the target. Done. Correct? Yeah, app page. Now I'll go to this HTML and I'll also bring the JavaScript. Okay, let's move this side by side so that we can code it. We can see the container code. Okay. All right. So let's do that very quickly. Yeah. I'll say I'll have a property, class property. Okay. Okay. So let's say show greetings. Okay. Yeah. So that's my property name. Okay. So okay. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a method. Okay. Um, so I have a method. Okay, with the name handle click. Okay, and what it will do is it will say show greetings true, or maybe I'll just rename this. Okay, handle show greet. I'll just say show greeting on. Okay, I'll just say display greeting. Okay, this dot is true. I'll have another method. Okay, hide greetings. Okay, I'll just say this dot show greetings equal to false. Very simple code, isn't it? Yeah, very simple. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a nice I'm gonna have a nice text. Okay, I'll just say welcome all. Yeah, to LWC training. Yeah. Okay, very nice. Okay, now this is where I'm going to apply the if else condition. So typically, right, you would have seen if else, for loop, everything used in the code, in your server side code or client side code, right? Either in JavaScript, right, in the Apex or any other programming language, right? But in the HTML, correct? So it is possible for us to, conditionally render a piece of code. Okay. Yeah. So what I'll have is, I can do this. I'll have a temp or I'll have a div. Okay, I'll have a div. So inside the div, what I can do is I can just say if. Okay, when you do this, if true. Okay, if true. So what is that I want to check? I want to check this particular property value. Okay, if this property value is true, then show this. Okay, otherwise don't show this. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll have a lightning button again. Okay, lightning button, I'll just give variant is okay. Again, you don't have to type everything. So what you can do is you can just go to this gallery, correct, and then you can just simply copy this and then put it right here. Yeah, and then you can make some tweaks. So lightning button variant, I'll just say brand so that I'll see the button in blue color. Okay, label, I'll just say show slash hide greetings message. Okay, so I'll go with the same title. So on click of the show greetings message, I'm going to call this method display greetings, call and paste it right here. That's it. Yeah, I'll try the same with another button. I'm going to add two buttons. Okay, same thing. I'll just say hide greetings message, copy, put it right here. Okay, yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's a simple code, right? So you have a div and we have applied HTML directive. So what we are going to do is we are going to conditionally render this div tag, conditional render div, if show greetings is true. And this show greetings is this show greetings is controlled through this clicks, right? Yeah, true button. When I click this, when I click this, it will set this to true, and accordingly the value will be available. If it is false, it needs to be hidden, right? So let's cross check and then see how this works. Okay, so I'll save everything. Yeah, right click and then deploy this to org. Super, very simple code, all cool. Let's go back to the page. This is the one, right? Yeah, this is the one. Let's add this to the playground, this one. Okay, let's first refresh this page. I'll bring the component, okay, to this page, and then let's see. So I'll go to this settings, edit page. Okay, and you should be seeing the components, right, under this custom. Learn, drag, and then drop. Okay, there are two buttons. Very nice. Save, back. Instead of brand, I'll just make it destructive. So it takes a different color. If I just say destructive, right, it takes this dark maroon color. Let's also do this. I'll deploy. I made a small change, so I'm just deploying it. Okay. So we'll go back. Let's refresh this page. I should be seeing this in a different color. If not, let's good. I think it did pick the latest code. Super. So now there is no text. I'll just click on show greetings. It just shows this one. Right? Click on hide. It's gone. Yeah. Perfect, right? So now what is the key takeaway? If you ever run into a situation, right? Um, where if you ever run into a situation where you want to conditionally render a portion of the code, portion of your HTML, right? You can use this if else. You can just have a property back in the JavaScript and then control this. Okay, it comes really handy when you build a form. Okay, when you build a form, let's say for user to enter data. Okay, and then let's say when the checkbox started, let's say there is a drop down. Okay, yeah, let's say you are building a drop down and then um, you want to let's say the drop down asks for your occupation. Okay, so uh, let's say there is an option called others. When the user select others as an occupation, right? Occupation, you want to just show a text box to enter some data for the user. Okay, so now this is conditionally showing that text box when the user selects other as a option, right? So such cases, right, you can you can get this HTML directive, especially the if else conditions, right, can be helpful. Okay, yeah. So now we have found how this is working. Yeah, if you want to debug this code, okay, that is also possible. Okay, because we just did learn this, right? I go to inspect, I'll go to sources, and I will go to this three dots, open file. What's the name of the component? It's LW, not learn, right? Yeah, learn HTML directory. Just click here. You can just see a lot of code, new code added on top of your code, but it's okay. That's quite natural. Under the hoods, so many things happen. Yeah, let's put a breakpoint. I want to see what happens when I click on this particular button. I want to see what happens when I click on this button. So I'll just place a breakpoint right here. With that breakpoint, let's say refresh. Okay, this is opportunity close counter. I'll just remove this. When you just click on this line number again, the breakpoints will be gone. Okay, or you can just clear all the breakpoints on the left, on the right. So I'll click on this button. Okay, resume script execution, or I can press F8. Click here. Now the page is loaded. Okay, with this page loaded, I'm gonna click on this show greetings. Click here. So now the browser will stop the execution. It just goes and then stays in the same place, right, where you put the breakpoint. Show greetings, correct? So I'll just step through the code now. I'm going to use F10. So from 57 to 58, it just came down. I'll go again. Yeah, I'll just use F8 to run. You can just see the output. I'll click on this hide greetings again. Yeah, so the control came to line number 60. I can use F8 to move from there, right, to the next line. I can now see it has been set as false. When it happens, automatically, the value will be gone. Okay, see has how simple it is, right? Okay, so the next time try to use this debugging technique to understand behind the scenes how this execution happens. Okay, yeah. So uh, okay, what is this keyword in LWC is pointing? It is pointing to the current class. You have this class, right? Yeah, you have this class, isn't it? Learning HTML, right? This is a property of this class. Okay, so that's why we always use this keyword, okay, which refers to the current class. Okay, Can you also show debugging in complex use cases? We will do that. We will create, few other, we will make a call to Apex and then see all such things. Okay. I just went on with a simple use case so that you will understand it first. Okay. Then we can slowly increase the complexity. Sonali, okay. I think Sumita did respond. Okay. Can we put console.log in HTML page? Of course, we can do that. We can certainly do that. So inside this, right? Okay, console.log in HTML page. No, no, Lalit, that's not possible because console.log is your JavaScript code. Okay, this is this can be understand this console.log. It's can be interpreted only by the JavaScript parser. Okay, so HTML parser cannot understand this console.log. Okay, so use LWC if, right? I don't know what it means. LWC if, that okay. Only the syntax there is a change. If else if, yes, you can use that as well. Yes, that is also perfectly fine. Do we get recordings after every session? Yes. Anand did share the YouTube channel link on the top. Okay, so you can also refer that, Anish. It's not Anish. Okay, Manjula, right? Yeah. Um, okay, so response. Okay, using alert, rapid statement. No, don't use alert. Okay, don't use alert, Lalit. Okay, just go with console.log because alert every time pops out the message, right? Don't go with that. Use console.log, but better than console.log, put a breakpoint and then see if you can able to step through the code. Okay, just to see if everything is working as intended. Okay, yeah. So without using this, no, it won't work. If you do like this, right? Yeah, if you don't use this, LWC will not execute the code. Okay, so you can get this code deployed. Okay, there won't be any compilation error. Okay, so technically your code is fine, but you won't see the output. Okay, so always use this. Okay, always use this when you refer the class properties. So you can just see this. Let me click on inspect. I'll do the same. Yeah, you can just see this one. Now let's see what happens when I click on greetings. The control came here. We just went to the error. You can just see this, right? Show greetings is not defined. That's the error. That's the error you will get. Okay, so I'll run. There is no output. You have seen the error as well captured, right? In this one. Okay, so that's the reason. Okay, always you have to use this keyword. Okay, to refer the properties or methods inside the class. Okay, I hope that helps. If we cannot use console in HTML, then how do we debug HTML page? HTML is just an UI, right? Why do you want to debug HTML page? Because JavaScript is where you will write all your code, Lalit, isn't it? HTML is it's mere, you know, showing or displaying the data, isn't it? In a right format. Why would you want to debug that? So that's the reason, you will find all the debugging techniques, everything in the server-side programming. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry
Super.
to interrupt, just Prabhu. Yeah.
Yeah. Go on,
Maybe
Avinash.
maybe he's thinking if we have any error in HTML. Um, I want to add one thing. If we have any error in HTML, the file itself will not save if there are any
Hmm.
format missing. Like if
Yeah,
we
that
add
is
a
one possible. For example, if I added, couple of for by mistake, there is an additional tag, added or some other problem, right? You will not see your HTML completely rendered. Okay. Yeah. So what we typically do is, right, to avoid a thanks. That was Avinash, right? Thanks, Avinash. Yes. So you will not see the HTML, properly rendered. Number one. Number two, we will use, tools. Okay, analysis, code analysis tools. Okay, that will, we have tools in VS Code as well. Okay, static code analysis tools, so that will check your HTML compliance as well. Okay, so uh, that will avoid, but debugging is not, is not possible, but that will minimize the amount of problem that that may occur in your HTML code. Okay. Yeah. Super. Just is a little advanced, Manjula. Once you have to have the You have to ensure the lightning web component concepts are clear. Okay, then you can just go with just. Okay, right now testing LWC is not a mandate for mandate, for mandated by Salesforce. Okay, because when you say just, you will in turn write JavaScript code. You will write another lightning web component code to test your lightning web component, just like how we create our another apex class to test an apex class, right? So you will do that. So you need to be very comfortable with lightning writing web component code. Okay, so then you can just venture into just. Okay, yeah. So we might have to take a separate session only to talk about just, because there is an in-depth discussion needed right here. Okay, so CSS is very challenging for HTML. How we can cover it to have confidence? Don't worry, Deepak. You have a lot of AI tools. Okay, trust me. These days, you have it, but you still want to try everything on your own, right? Yeah. So don't worry. W3 Schools is the best place to start with. Otherwise, in Salesforce, okay, in Salesforce, what I would recommend is, remember we talked about Salesforce, owned the CSS framework. Yeah. So it should be somewhere here. SLDS. This is the guy, right? Oh, I didn't bookmark it. Anyways, so you'll find tons and tons of CSS, and it's tons and tons of CSS classes right here. Okay, yeah, and then it will also explain what it does, all such things. Okay, anyways, I will bookmark this as well. But if you are new, if you want to understand, the CSS from the scratch, okay, I would recommend start with W3 schools. Okay, yeah, all right, okay. Um, Anyways, so let's move forward. So we talked about this one, right? HTML directives. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll introduce you with JavaScript arrays and objects. Okay. So why should I learn this JavaScript arrays and objects? Number one, right? Because when you write a web component, okay, and then uh, let's say when your component is going to get some data from the database. Okay. Let's say you want to retrieve all the contracts that are due for renewal next month. Okay, across customers, all the contracts that are due for renewal next month. You want to show that on the home page for a sales manager. Okay, so certainly you will write an Apex class, and that Apex class might bring either one or more records, right? So when your Apex class brings you records to the Lightning Web component, okay, it will it will be accessed, or it will be processed, right, as a JavaScript object. Okay, in a JSON, in a JavaScript object format. Okay, so which is fairly simple, fairly simple. Well, let's do a simple example, and then we can just move forward. Okay, so arrays, number one, right? So you will use you will use square bracket to uh, represent list of data, okay, in arrays. Okay, so one simple example is, I'll just say a list of let's say array of names. Okay, so I'll just go with Rajesh. Okay, I'll go with Deepak. I'll go with Sonali. Okay, so I'll go with Avinash. So this is an array that holds you, holds you, holds you, a bunch of strings. Okay, bunch of strings. Cool, right? Yeah. So how does represent objects in JavaScript? Use curly brace to represent list of, to represent data in JS object format. Okay, so where everything is, where the data is in key value pair. Okay, key value pair, that's it. Okay, how do I represent that? Let's see an example. Okay, so let's say user one. Okay, Yeah, let's say user1 equal to, okay, I'll have key as m code, employee code, okay, I'll just say triple one comma, okay, then again key value code, okay, so you can just see this, right? Mm, yeah, so you have this first key with a value, you have the second key employee name. Of course you can have a single quote or you can leave the single quote, that is also absolutely fine, okay. Yeah, okay, so you can just see this, right? I was able to represent one user, okay, in a JavaScript object format, right? So I get all the details about that user. So it's Rajesh, his employee code is triple one, his designation is developer, he belongs to this department, his salary is how much? 100K. Okay, fine. Okay, so this is my first object. I can just represent multiple objects as well. So this is a JavaScript, object format, guys, for you. Okay, triple two. Employee name, let's say, Avinash. So let's say is a senior developer and belongs to IT department. And let's say his salary is, 200K. Okay, so now this is how objects are represented in Salesforce, right? So now how do I represent bunch of objects? Just like, how just like how you represented, a bunch of arrays, right? Or bunch of strings in an array. I can use array and objects together to manage a list of objects. Okay, so what I can do is I can create a list. Okay, I can create a list, and let's say users, list of users equal to, okay, I'll open and close an array. Okay, inside this array what I can do is I can just mention user1 comma user2. That's it. So now just like how can I can use arrays to store, multiple strings. Okay, I can also store multiple objects, right? So this is what we do. Okay, when a bunch of records are retrieved from the database, or when you want to send a bunch of data from your lightning web component code to Apex, okay, so we will use or we will represent the data in this format, in a JavaScript format. Okay, something like this. So let's say I want to, I want to have a list of contracts that are due for renewal. Okay, so what I can do is I can just say list of contracts equal to, okay, of course I want to store bunch of data, right? So what I'll do is I'll use this, brackets, okay, just to represent that I'm going to load multiple data into this array. Yeah, so the data format is my first contract, this is my second contract, and this is my third contract. Okay, what I can do is I can just simply say, ID, okay, some number comma description colon, I'll just say this is support contract. Yeah, comma um, then we'll have a couple more. Okay, we'll have start date of the contract. Yeah, start date, end date, renewal date, whatever it is. Okay, yeah, we'll have only start date and end date. Okay, yeah, just like this I can represent multiple records. Okay, support contract, let's say this is service contract, this is workforce, it's called, proposal contract. I can just have, other IDs as well. So this is how, you can able to use arrays and objects, together to manage, bulk data in lightning web component. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply print this and then see this on the screen. Okay, yeah, and then we will learn one more thing in the next 3 minutes, then break for 15 minutes and come back, apply this concept and then build our lightning web component. Okay, yeah, so that's what we're going to do it. in the next 3 minutes. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print, let's say h1. I'll just use the tag. I'll just say array value, or I'll just say value of. Okay, I'll access this. Okay. So value of the list of contracts. Okay. I'll put it like this. I'm using data binding concept. Yeah, you can just understand that, right? So I'm using curly brace and then access my JavaScript property. Yeah. So let's close this. Let's save everything. Right click and then deploy. Good. So now let's go to the page and then refresh. I should be seeing the list of names, right, Rajesh? Okay, it looks like user one is not defined. Why do you say user one is not defined? What is wrong with this? I can't use this let right here. Okay, let me do this. I'll wrap everything into a method. Okay. This is show array show details. I'll just have it. Yeah. I'll move this guys into this. Okay, I'll use let now. Let this. Let users. List of contracts. Yeah, let list of contracts. Everything I'll just define the scope. Now let's see what happens. No, sorry. I have to call this method, right? So I'll try this now. Let's have another button. Okay, let's make it as success. Okay, no title is needed for me. On click of this button, show details, I wanted to call this method. Perfect, right? Yeah, that will ensure the values are dead. Super. Let me just right click. Let me just deploy this. Okay. All right. Now let's refresh this. All right. So now there is no data, which is understandable, right? So when I click on show details, certainly this code will execute, right? Yeah, line number 20 till line number 36. Let's see what happens. Something is wrong, I believe, isn't it? It's not showing up the. So this is where we apply our debugging techniques, isn't it? Yeah. So let's go back to the code. This is my learn HTML directives, isn't it? So I'll knock it off all the.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Rajesh. Yeah, I feel like the arrays are not declared globally.
You don't really have to. Yeah, that's fine. This is a this is inside the function. I'm just defining the array.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, so shouldn't be a problem. But where is this? I don't see any day. Ah, let's try to clear the cache and then hard reload. Okay. Yeah. Let's cross check. Okay, let's cross check our code. Okay. Close this. Open the file again. HTML directives. Which one is inside modules? This is the one. I'll click on this. If you find two files, it's okay. Okay. You can just place a breakpoint in both the files. Okay. Why is it still not showing this data? Did I save this? Yes. Okay, there is a problem in the code. I just got figured it out. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll create a property because in the data binding concept we did learn that only properties and methods can be can if you want to access a property we use this curly brace and then access the property, right? I'll just do this array names. Okay, so I'll just array names to, or I'll just say list of names. Okay, yeah. So what I can do is I can just assign this list of names equal to array names. I can do that. Okay, yeah. But that's what you were referring to, is it? Declare globally, isn't it? I don't know who suggested that one.
Yeah, it is Avinash. I was
Avinash said
telling
it.
the
Okay,
same.
that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so this is what you are talking about. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just say this. I didn't this dot list of names. Perfect, right? Yeah. Let's do the same for our friend list of contracts. Okay, I'll copy this. What I'll do is um, just say this dot list of contracts. Okay, yeah. Now let's see. This is what is access right. Let's right click and then let's deploy the code. I'll keep this as a local variable. Okay, not a class property, a local variable. Okay. Now let's go back. Let's right click empty cache and reload. Okay, expected. Right click. Clear thing. Let's go to sources. Do we have our code now? Yes, now we have our code. Yeah, let's put a breakpoint. Yes, let's apply our concepts, a concept of debugging the code. Show details. It just came right here. Now I see some information. Rajesh, Deepak, Sonali, Avinash, right? Yeah. Let's see the contracts. Of course, I should be seeing all the three data points, right? So now when I hit this F8, I should be seeing the data. Why I'm not seeing the data right here? Something is wrong. Yes, because I'm not binding the right properties. Copy and then put it. Perfect. List of names, list of contracts. Right click, deploy. Okay, super, isn't it? So now let's go back and then try this one more time. Then we can break for 15 minutes. I will also ensure the cache is cleared. Okay, I'm seeing the value, but the list of contracts is not, it's not showing up, isn't it? There is something else going on, correct? So we will talk about this when we come back. Okay, so we cannot actually, show the list of basically objects, okay, on the in the HTML. Okay, so we have to convert that object to a string to, to see that back in the HTML. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, that is a inbuilt function that helps you to do it. We will do that after the 15 minutes break. Okay, number one. Number two, when we come back, okay, let's talk about public properties. Okay, let's talk about components communication, and also we will talk about LWC and Apex. Okay, so these four things we will plan to, we'll see how much we can able to wrap up in before the end of our training today. Okay, yeah. So yes, that's right, Deepak. We have to serialize. That's what we have to do it because it's an object, right? We have to serialize so that um, we have to convert that into a string. Okay, it's not serialize, deserialize. Okay, um, so serialization is
Yeah,
converting
Rajesh,
string to
sorry
an
to
object.
interrupt.
Yeah,
Sorry to
go on,
interrupt.
Avinash. Yeah, yeah.
I think it's stringify, if I'm not wrong. Jason was stringify. Sorry to interrupt you multiple times.
Yeah. No worries, no worries. Please go on. Please go on.
Yeah, I think we need to use JSON for dot stringify for deserialization.
That's what I was just saying. We need to use that because the objects you cannot directly show it on the on the HTML. We have to stringify to see the output, which we will see it after our 15 minutes break. Okay, so we will do that. Besides that, the plan for today is after the call we will talk about public properties. We will talk about components communication. Okay, we will also talk about how to make a call to an apex method from lightning web component. Okay, we'll just start simple and then make some additional tweaks. Okay, in the meantime I'll also try to answer your questions. Okay, we'll take 15 minutes break and then come back. Okay, so we will maybe I'll start the timer in the interest of everyone, right? 15 minutes.
Yeah, by 11:40 we can reach.
Yeah, correct. So we will just do that. So I'll just start this one. Okay, 15 minutes we have. We'll come back in 15 minutes. Okay.